I'm Pastor Jim.
And I'm Pastor Kate.
Pastor Kate, you are brand new at Valpo. How long have you been here now?
A month, maybe?
A month maybe, and with students just...
2 weeks with students on campus.
So you're probably too new to talk really deeply about what you love about everything. But what is it that you were attracted to when you thought about maybe coming to do ministry at Valpo?
Well, there's two main things. The general thing is that I've been interested in campus ministry forever because college is just such a unique time in our lives where for a lot of us, we're away from home for the first time. We're getting to explore things in a new way, and it's really a time to focus on our vocation. And so I love being here and getting to talk with students about everything that comes up in this time of life and getting to be a part of them discovering themselves. Valpo in particular was so exciting because I met so many students while I was interviewing, and they were leading worship and asking great questions, and they were challenging me during these 2 days I was on campus, and I was so impressed by just the student activity and leadership here is amazing.
Yeah, that is one of the things that I really, really value. And I think one of the things that sets Valpo apart is the opportunities that students have to lead in a variety of ways at the chapel, but specifically in worship leading and planning and implementing all of the things around that. We've got a whole staff of students that run the various ministries. And I think you've had the experience of sort of being taken care of by them.
Oh, for sure.
In your first days, because they know where things are and they know what should be happening, and really, really well informed and thoughtful in that respect.
Yeah. And in addition to that, I think it's neat that all these worship opportunities offer room for a whole range of student gifts. We have students who write the prayers to students who play the organ to students who play drums and guitar. There's just a whole range of, if you have gifts that you want to share in worship, there's a place for you on campus, and it's wonderful.
Yeah. And what else are you finding that you really enjoy about being a pastor at this university?
Ooh, I think it's there's a great collaboration here. Like you and I work here in the Helge Center, which is sort of attached to the chapel. And we have colleagues all over these offices who are working on leadership programs or connecting with local churches. And then you and I also connect with residential life as part of helping students get settled. And you know more than I do about how we get to partner with folks across campus. So it's different than parish ministry because here you have all these partners and all these extra things going on. And it's just a great variety and a great way to help the students as a whole and not just their faith life.
Yeah. There are huge opportunities for collaboration and reference back and forth. I think it's really, it's fun for me to know who the professors are that are challenging students in particular ways, especially as they think about the world around them or as they think about their faith. And to have those personal relationships with faculty and then yet encounter conversations with students where they're talking about the things that they're reading in class with the professor that I know well, and the ways in which it's forming them and bringing new ideas or confirming ideas that they've long held. That's a real joy. And the other thing that I love about the student leadership at the chapel is just the opportunity to watch a young person sort of grow into that leadership. So they come as first-year students. Maybe they're a little bit homesick, they're unsure of their place in the chapel, but they meet other students who are a little bit older, who welcome them into the work that we're doing together and help them find a home on campus and at the chapel. And then, in 2.5 years, you see them and they're in that leadership role, and you can't even believe that they were, the homesick 18-year-old that you first met when they came to campus. That is a real joy. I love being in the room while someone is shining into their place of leadership and increasing their confidence.
Definitely. And I've this last couple of weeks, I've noticed some of the like the senior students. I've heard them admiring the new freshmen that are on chapel staff. Like, look at her, she already knows how to do all these things, and
Yeah,
it's such an encouraging atmosphere, and it's just wonderful.
yeah. The other thing that I find really rewarding and in a more somber way
Mhm.
is, frequently when we come to college and we're away from home, and really being challenged, maybe even for the first time. I mean, especially if high school came easily to us and we had this sort of nurturing circle of friends and family, and then now we're here on our own and having to kind of redefine ourselves to a certain extent, maybe encountering real failure or real rejection in a way that we haven't had before. Um, at a risk of getting really heavy, I'm convinced that someone can't be a robust, responsible theologian unless they can sort of encounter for suffering and and
Yes.
and uh, and failure in the world. And so it's been for me in the years that I've been here a real honor to be with and alongside of students who are struggling with faith, with doubt maybe, or with rejection, or with a sense of personal failure, or grieving some great loss, and help them grow into the person that they are now in light of that experience. I keep a Post-it note here on my desk that says, it's just quickly written in Sharpie in the hand of a student, and she wrote, "Thank you. The tree is starting to grow around the wire," because she and I had a conversation where she was grieving a really deep loss of a close friend who had died. And I was using a metaphor that I'd come across, that sometimes grief is like being that tree that continues to grow really close to a barbed wire fence, and finally just we incorporate the grief the way the tree incorporates the wire into its own body. It's not welcome, it's not supposed to be there, but the tree grows regardless. And
Mhm.
so to have a student then swing back, a couple of weeks later and leave a Post-it note that she and I knew what it was all about. Um, I treasure those kinds of moments of being with people in those kinds of times.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, it really is gorgeous. What else? What do you think people misunderstand about the chapel?
Oh, that's a great question. Um, as I've been here and been walking into the office, sometimes I'll see students giving the tours.
Uh-huh.
Hear the tour leaders say, I don't really go to chapel, but it's here. And I always want to stop and go, but like, it's amazing. I think it's easy to think like, I've never been a church person, so the stuff happening in the chapel isn't for me, or I'm not Lutheran, so it's not for me. But
Yeah.
even if the worship isn't, your tradition, part of your faith life, even if you have no faith life, like we are here to talk to folks about, we're not going to make you talk about Jesus if you don't want to talk about Jesus. We're here to listen and help you along your own path.
Right.
And I think that's important for students to understand, that they can come to us regardless of their faith background or no faith background.
Yeah.
Um, yeah.
The chapel can be a really imposing building, and it's pretty formal in its
Yeah.
structure. And I think that sometimes people who don't know us the way we know us think that the formality is sort of baked into the life here.
Mm-hmm.
That it's a pretty intimidating building from the outside, and so you're going to come inside and be intimidated.
Right.
And I work pretty hard to make sure that we sort of soften that, and allow people to come to know us personally and discover that it's a space in which you can be yourself, your whole self, your joyful self, and you're also your less joyful, maybe sometimes even sorrowful self.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
And as a new person, I definitely feel that coming to even, right now, especially because of COVID, the Sunday services feel really kind of high church.
Uh-huh.
But even in that case, you still pick up on this really warm fellowship, welcoming atmosphere. So,
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's great to have you as a partner in ministry, and I'm looking forward to the new students that we get in the coming falls and springs as we move forward.
Me too.
Blessings.
Peace.